Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to another one of our lovely live webinars. Once again, I'm joined by Charlotte, Rich and Simon. And today we're doing something a little bit different, a bit of a show and tell. And to be honest, well, as usual, we haven't totally prepared this. You'd never guess it to look at it, but we're going to be talking about some of the elements of law firm marketing, some of the ones that we found or have been suggested to us, and what we think of them. Give you a little bit of feedback of perhaps what we liked, or in Simon's case, probably what he didn't like, and we'll take it from there. But before we carry on, I'd just like everyone to have the chance to introduce themselves. And let's start with Charlotte. Hello, Charlotte.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on again. My name is Charlotte Takac. I am currently the CMO of Novum Learning. And consumer psychology and strategy is kind of my bread and butter. That is what makes me most excited about marketing. And hopefully I can tap on a couple of those things in today's session.
Looking forward to that. And also with us today is Rich Dibbins. Hello, Rich. Come and say hello and introduce yourself.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me on again. So my name's Rich Dibbins from Staxton Digital. I've been working in the legal industry for a little over 8 years now, helping law firms and legal providers with their digital marketing, anything from web branding, SEO, PPC, all the way through to the likes of my favorite topic, social media and digital marketing, content-driven, engaging content. So I'm very excited to see what everybody has in their show and tell today from the rest of the team.
I'm excited too, and possibly slightly nervous as well. And last but by no means least is Simon. So come on, Simon, let's hear who you are and what you do.
I am Simon Marshall. I'm the founder of TBD Marketing. We look after law firms' marketing. And I'm also the founder of the Digital 100, which is a benchmark that looks at all law firms' digital marketing and social media marketing and ranks them against each other, gives them some ideas about how they might perform a bit better. So yeah, that's why I've put that in the middle of my name. Thanks for having me, David. It's good.
Always welcome to have you join the rest of this ongoing team. It seems to appear we sort of join together every now and then. So as I say, we're going to be doing a little bit of a show and tell, talking about some of the stuff that we found. And perhaps Rich, be interested to hear, what have you brought for today's show and tell?
So for today, I feel like I'm addressing the teacher in the class here. Mr. Sace, today, what I'm going to show you is something that I saw from Hugh James. So now I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and here we go. So share my screen. Screen one, I hope it's the right one. Yes, it is. Okay. Can you let me know if you guys can see it or not? I don't know.
Okay, I haven't got anything visible at the moment. Always good to have technical difficulties.
No, absolutely. Now I've got to open up my system preferences to allow me to share my screen with you.
Oh.
Yeah. What I do have though is if I can put the link in the comments or for everybody to see it, if that helps.
That's a really good idea, actually, for each of us to do that, I think, isn't it? So that people have got the results afterwards.
What I'm going to show you, it's on Facebook. I've just put the link. I put it in the private chat, and I'll put it in the comments as well, if I'm able to pop that in there. I've popped it in the private chat anyway, David, if you're able to.
I'll move it. I'll see if I can move that over.
But essentially, this is a video by Hugh James, which was aimed and targeted at basically military claims of if anybody was hurt or they've come under some form of duress, stress within the military. So there's been, shall we say, several wars over the last 15, 20 years. And one of them was actually down to stress and hearing damage due to explosions, gunshots. And what Hugh James did was they created this very simple, I don't want to say it's Hollywood, blockbuster, probably a couple of £1,000 to create it. But the real bit that gets me is the bit that goes, you just hear this very slight ping noise, and it's is this you, basically? So it will resonate with people who only have that type of, shall we say, emotional attraction to this advert that they're doing. And it struck a chord with me. And I watched this video probably best part of 5-6 years ago now, and they still use it and share it within their social media. They've improved upon it. The graphics are much better, but it's really, really hard hitting. So that's my show. And so unfortunately, yeah, annoyingly, Firefox is not playing ball with me, so I can't show it, but it's on Facebook. It's very public for everybody to see. It's about a 60-second video. But
can David not share it though?
Yeah, let me see if I can bring this up. Hold on a moment. Let me just. Do you want me to play all half hour of it?
Well, it's 60 seconds, I think it is, that video on Hugh James.
Well, let me just double check this link. It's pulled up. Do you want to check that link? Because it's pulled up a talking shot JCT design and build contract. Oh my God, I know all about that.
No, that's an interesting one. It's the same one that I sent to Simon the other day. So that's interesting that that's changed and moved around. What I'll do is, hold on, I'll get this link up. If you want to crack on with that, if somebody else is, and I'll get the link up.
I'm quite excited to talk about JCT design and build contracts, because as a quantity surveyor 20 odd years ago, that's what I actually used to study and haven't touched on since. So that's quite fascinating. I'll tell you what, you have a look at
word of mouth marketing they're doing here.
you have a look at that, and let's go and see what Simon has for us. Simon, do you want to tell us what delights you found?
Well, I've cheated inevitably, as I normally do. So yeah. I thought I brought two today because it's only how am I going to win? And Charlotte says there's no even anything to win at, and I'm like, well, yeah, but there is, right? It's, just I'm going to win even when there's no opportunity to win. I've brought a couple of materials, and hopefully I won't have the same Mac issues that Rich was having as well. Chrome tab. Right, first one. Can you see that? Is that working?
That's it. It's all there.
You can see this Lanyon Bowdler kind of thing, can you? Brilliant. Okay, so although this tweet about it is from December, the actual original stuff that Lanyon Bowdler had released on Twitter was back in May time last year, and they did this amazing walking challenge. So if you cast your minds back, we had been put into lockdown March 23rd. Fast forward 7 or 8 weeks, and we were, I think everyone was like about as low as we've got over the last wee while. And Lanyon Bowdler had already spotted and done something about it. What do I love about this campaign? It is a campaign. One, it involves pretty much everyone at their firm, and it brings together some collective effort across all of their offices, right? What they decided to do was set a 729-mile challenge to walk all of these different ways, the Cotswold way and the this way and the that way. It's all in the challenge if you get a chance to go and look at it. And what really caught my eye about it was like, every single photo has got like a member of staff in it, or it's absolutely beautiful, or both. And they've done such a wonderful job of just giving a sense of who they are personality-wise, whilst doing something that's good for everyone's health and well-being, right in the middle of lockdown, making a collective effort. And I want to say, one of the biggest things I think that they achieved by doing this campaign, these are just 4 of the photos. This one actually made it into the press as well. One of the things that they achieved by doing was, I didn't even know who they were beforehand. And I was just looking through some various different bits on social media, and I just couldn't believe the stuff I was coming across. I wrote to them immediately and said, look at the quality of these photos. They don't look like they've been taken by people when they're out having a normal morning stroll. So look, I know other people have done similar things, but it's about timing, execution, the celebration of their firm just at the point in time where everybody most needs it. And I think that people forget that contemporaneous element to marketing is so important. It was clearly an expression of their values, their brand, of who they were, and I flipping love it. If you get a chance, go and have a look. I think it's called the Round Wales Walk is the hashtag. Go and have a look. I mentioned it at the time, and I think they've done a fantastic job on that as well. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think with a lot of law firms that I've seen, often it's that personal aspect of social media that really hits home, and it's interesting. Had a little visit.
We're about to have some personal branding, are we?
Oh, she's just left again. My daughter, sorry. Yeah, I mean, and funnily enough, with one of the firms I worked with, one of their best, almost popular social media posts was something that was real spur of the minute stuff. It was preparing for a big annual event. And we simply, I mean, we had a great background of the Tower of London. The offices were right behind it. So it was just one of the members of marketing standing there, the tables all ready a couple of hours before we were inviting the guests in. And we just took this picture and put it onto Twitter, and the response was incredible. And it was just that lovely behind the scenes moment that I think, you know, everyone was really enjoying. And, you know, for all the hard work I did on all the other social media posts, that was one of the better ones.
Shall I show you the other one that goes alongside?
Yeah, let's have a look at the other one.
You could not choose a greater extreme the other way, right? And from the legal titans of kind of Wales and the English borders to the legal titans, genuinely the legal titans of New York this time. This is Wachtel, and if you don't know who Wachtel is, then it's probably the greatest law firm in the world in lots of ways. I've never worked for them. I don't have any skin in the game, but Wachtel have invented certain elements to defend corporates against takeovers and people that they don't want doing certain things to their companies. They have, from last count, they had like 99 partners and 98 associates. It's one of the hardest working law firms in America. It's the most profitable law firm. It's basically the Slaughter of the May of the New York scene. And the reason I love this document, and look at this document, this is not what you expected me to bring up, right? Okay, it is, you know, as plain as you like, you know, a single kind of reference to their brand. There's no web address anywhere or anything like that as well. But why I love this document is this: they know their audience so well. They will never, ever, ever act for a hedge fund, ever. They're only going to act for corporate America, and they are so determined to act for them that they wrote this checklist about how to avoid being taken over or messed around by activists, hedge funds, etc., etc. And it's basically a guide, and it's all of these tips and tricks, and half the things in here are things they've invented, right, that you can actually do to defend kind of your business as well. So look, the reason I mention it is because, and I think it's the apogee of law firm marketing, is they have taken a distillation of everything that they are as an organization, put it out there as a 15-page PDF document, incredibly simple. Anyone can read it. It's very simply written, okay? But to corporate America, if you've got to have a byword in what you're going to do in a difficult situation, this is the document you want to have at your disposal. So I know it's not what people might have expected me to do on a show and tell, but it is definitely right up there in terms of the quality of it.
Can I just say, I absolutely love that. Because, you know, creative is great. Creative is great when it's the right place and the right time, but sometimes good marketing is actually just allowing you to focus on exactly what you need to focus on. None of the flashy lights, none of the great creatives, because you are there for the information. And I think that's exactly as you were saying. They know their target audience so well that they realize that probably at that moment in time, they are not there for entertainment. They are not there to resonate. They are not there to have fun and connect on that personal level. They are there for a very specific business reason, and I think that's really great.
I think you're right, and I think I'm going to Michael's question. They're called Wachtel, WACHTELL. I'm not going to get into the Wachtel Lipton Rosencrantz. I can't do the full name, right? It's got an American law firm name. Just call it Wachtel, right? But to Charlotte's point, I think it's such a really, really good point, right? Firms get stuck in the middle of creative versus this market-leading information point as well. And what Wachtel has done is, as you say, at the point in time which a hedge fund takes a position in your organization, right, that has to be declared under the UK rules nowadays, if it's more than 0.5%. So you're going to find out that evening when the stock exchange tells you that they've taken that position. What do? You don't know, right? There's a document waiting for you. It's in plain script. The printer's not going to break. You can read it on your mobile, right? And it tells you exactly what you need to do next as well. That, as you say, is contemporaneous, perfect, timely marketing. There's probably only 100 people that have read it in the world. I've read it about 25 times because I can't believe how good it is, right? So anyway, to get a chance, I'll send around the link and share it with them. I'll stop talking now.
But also, sorry, to wrap that up, because I just need to squeeze this in, that, you know, in terms of the customer journey as well, because I feel like often marketing, it's not a bad rap, it's not, but it's a very narrow way to look at marketing, because everyone is like, oh, top of the funnel, let's generate interest, let's get new clients. It's like, no, hang on. There are people who are more advanced in their engagement with you. You know, some people are fully aware, they might be your clients, they might have heard about you already. And I think this document is exactly a prime example of that client who is in need, who is aware of you, who is, you know, maybe your client already. And it's just going to keep them happy ongoing.
Okay, so since we are going to talk about forward, I have one more thing on it then as well. And I think Charlotte's alighted on something really important for other challenger brands to think about for a minute, right? If you want to be Slaughter May, you have to do the things that Slaughter May is going to do. You'd have to do the things that you think Slaughter May is going to do. And what they will actually do is do relationship-based marketing, as Charlotte says. They're already ensconced with those people. So you have to ask yourself, what would they do to those relationships? Then the best thing you can do is emulate that behavior. If you produce something as clever as this paper, then the people who would otherwise be listening to Whacktail or Slaughters will listen to you. They will. You've got a chance. But what you mustn't do is fudge it and think we've got to do some, you know, whatever it might be. It's only for very blue-blooded corporate finance kind of stuff, this I'm talking about here. It's not appropriate for the other examples that we've chosen necessarily. But I think it's a really good example of, if you're trying to get in with an investment bank in a way that those others are, then you've got to do the thing that the firms would most likely do and probably outdo them at it as well. It's hard. It's very hard. It takes time.
That's another great example there. I think we've got Rich's video sort of lined up in the background. I think it's probably
that's good.
Flashing up there because I'm technically inept with StreamYard still. But Rich, do you want to go through yours now, and I will bring it up on screen when you are ready.
Yeah, no, pop it up, David.
Okay. Hold on one moment. Let's see if I can get this working.
There it is. Perfect. So turn your volume up, everybody, because it's very imperative that you hear this. Now, hopefully you guys can hear that what's coming through. But what about now? This is the hard-hitting bit. And this is where there's this pin kind of very high-pitched noise ping that's happening. And then it kind of just goes back down to Hugh James. But it's the hard-hitting, this whole, you know, act of war, all the other elements behind it. When somebody's going to war, or even if they're training, you know, they still go through this stress element, not just physical, but mental. But the sound part, it's always resonated with me, this particular advert itself. I've never seen anybody try to replicate it. Hugh James are very good in this particular legal department. I don't work or endorse them in any way, shape or form. But that one has always stuck with me for a very long time. Never seen, you know, loads of people will post that we're members of the, you know, the RAF, or we saw, you know, we represent certain benevolent funds or anything like that. But this one really just hits home straight away, under 60 seconds, tells you exactly what it is, but more so thinking of their audience rather than the law firm, you know, ambulance chasers, which we used to know about in the 90s.
One of the things that I really like about it is, because Rich, you were kind enough to share it with me yesterday. There's that awful ringing noise.
Yeah.
And for any of us who haven't got that PTSD that they're talking about, right, you get a brief experience of what it must be like to live like that. And it's so shocking, right, that what I love about it is that it's such third-party marketing. It says to the the husband of a woman who's been affected by it, to, you know, the relatives, to the other people who just don't understand what it's like. Try this for a minute, right, and just see what that's like. Watch that video 3 times, right? It is mind-blowingly good. When you showed it to me yesterday, I thought, well, I'm not even going to try this week because Rich is going to win. So
yeah. Show and tell.
Yeah, show and lose.
Show and lose.
It is brilliant.
And what I was going to say, I think another great thing about this video is that it's on Facebook, which is by nature, it's an incredibly cluttered platform, right? It's like you go on Facebook and right front center, there are a million things happening all at the same time. And in psychology, there is this concept of involuntary attention, which is basically exactly those loud bangs, all those really vibrant colors, any you know, anything that basically targets a sense whereby you cannot not look, right? When an alarm goes off, your instinct reaction is to have a look because it's out of place, because it's an unexpected, very loud sound. And I think, you know, naturally that's one of the biggest challenges in marketing. It is getting the attention, right? Your marketing can be incredible, the content can be amazing, but you have about 7 seconds to capture and keep someone's attention. What do you do in those first 7 seconds to get it? And you know, like this video also has like an element of gamification, which is like super cool. You know, like would you associate that with a law firm? No, it's like you look at it and it's just like, am I watching the next I wish video games, Call of Duty, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm going to let that play again because it was only 30 seconds and I think we missed the sound on it first time round. So I'm just going to add that back into the stream and we'll give it one more go.
You might have to mute Rich.
Let's see if I can get it right this time.
Me, for me, it's not only just the explosion, it's also that machine gun part. You know, I mean, I've never been to war or anything like that, but that machine gun bit, and I don't know what the emotions are when their target audience are watching that. I'd love to know the insights. And Charlotte, I don't know if you know the insights around the psyche around it as well, but if it hits me straight away, like, wow, that is, and I remember that from 4 or 5 years ago. Who knows how it impacts their audience who they're looking to target around that particular campaign.
Actually, now that you say it, and I don't have an answer, you know, very frankly, because I feel like this is definitely more deep psychology than I have ever studied. But I wonder, because, you know, we are talking about a traumatic experience potentially. So I wonder whether people get a natural defense mechanism, right? Because and this is, you know, for everyone in any situation, our memories are actually not constant. We keep overriding our memories and we always change slight aspects about it. That's why, you know, like in marketing, when you measure, you know, success or when you measure satisfaction, it's very crucial at what stage you mention it, right? It's the same concept. So you have to catch people at the right time. So it would be, I would love to speak to a psychologist about it, because someone who's experienced that kind of experience in their life, who might have post-traumatic stress, who might have, you know, mental health issues because of what they've gone through, I actually question, now that you say it, and I didn't go there, but I do question whether they just naturally build up that wall and treat it as a sort of like a third party, you know, like really distance themselves because they have been there, done that. In fact, and like now I'm going to completely like contradict myself. I still love the ad. But I wonder if it's almost rude to them. I'm genuinely just curious.
I'm not sure it's aimed at the person. I'm not convinced it's aimed at the person that's affected. I think it's third-party marketing. I'm doing some third-party marketing at the moment as well. And one of the ruses about it is that you can get to people much more easily. And an empathetic ear from a husband who didn't understand, whose wife had lost her hearing because of some action in Afghanistan, will take you a lot further in the domestic conversation, I think, than, as you say, somebody who's struggling with that trauma already themselves and is confronted by that noise again. They had to pitch it just right. There was no play on words with pitch there, but they had to pitch it just right because, you know, they can't offend the person that it's about as well. So it is a very fine balancing act, but I'm not sure that I think that they're aiming for the people who then go, have you seen this? You need to do something about this, or you've constantly said this is going on in your life, we need to act on this as well. And that's why it's so clever for me, because it's not what you've then turned it in. You've taken some viral marketing and you've made it word of mouth marketing. Try beating that, right? It's not possible to beat that, I think.
Absolutely, because I mean, I know men and women who have been to war. Not one of them have ever said to me, I need to go speak or see somebody about PTSD or anything. So absolutely, it's aimed at the people who know that somebody close to them is going through a hard time, and it will resonate with them. So yeah, no, nail on the head with that one, Simon, absolutely.
Do you notice as well, the tagline, did you notice, it's an expression of the firm's values, that the tagline says, understanding law, understanding you, right? What a brilliant expression. It's not some random tagline they've chosen, is it? They've done their homework, Hugh James. They do very well on this. Yeah. A lot of firms, pretty random on the taglines. That video fits in perfectly. So it's like an expression of their values as well. Very clever, very clever. Here she is.
It was only a matter of time, wasn't it? my co-host. Yeah.
Hello.
They're saying hello. Oh well, that's it now.
David wins.
She's going to be in every time. Let's go over to Charlotte. I think I've got your stuff lined up.
Oh, you just muted yourself, but otherwise,
you hands full at the moment. It's interesting multitasking. Right, let's have a look.
It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Here we go. Right, is that the right thing?
It is the right thing. Now, it's a longer video, so I will say let's probably not watch the whole thing. But if we were to watch a short section of it, I would say, could we jump towards the last half a minute? The last 30 seconds might be worth, just so you can get a feel for what was going on. Right. So I think it's a really, first of all, a nice mashup of Danton's Burns Night show that they've put together. So according to the Post, they had 250 people attending this virtual event. And what I love about not even just necessarily this piece of video content, but the whole concept of the Burns Night virtual event is that I think it's something, you know, especially for Danton's, which is a global giant, right? They have, I think, a presence in probably every country under the sun. And I love the cultural element. I just think it's so beautiful that they've come back and tried to connect people on something that is so deep and so personal to them. And it's absolutely not law related, right? It has nothing to do with what they offer. It is just showing that appreciation for their clients. It's connecting them on a deeper, meaningful level. And I think, generally speaking, and obviously this is a a very big generalization. But content, as a rule of thumb, always has four main purposes, which is to inspire, to educate, to inform, or to entertain. And I think in legal, we have a lot of attention to the educate piece or the inform piece, but not so much on the entertain or the inspire. And I think, obviously these move on a spectrum. And, if you Google it, there are like really cool graphs on where these things stand. But I just thought that this was an absolutely delightful, very light-hearted piece that, whether you consider it as inspiring or entertaining, it could tick both boxes for me. And I just loved it. And exactly, it's the same concept that your first ad ticked, Simon, that human element, that, real, deep personal values, which I just love. And I think people resonate with this a lot more than with legal context sometimes, not all the time. But, there are certain times when this is what you need. And also knowing the situation that the UK is going through at the moment, or well, Europe is going through at the moment, we are in lockdown. Burns Night is historically a massive celebration. It is a time to come together. Imagine that experience for someone who deeply cares about this event, that they've just been told that they can't do anything. And I think it's just a really beautiful sort of testimony to show that they really care about their clients, they really know who they are talking to, and it's a nice form of trust building, I think.
I think that what's unexpected when you showed it was the introduction of a couple of those characters. I think I can't remember who the rugby player was. There's one of them in there, which is just brilliant. So that's going to please a lot of people. But the idea that you'd introduce Lorraine Kelly into your law firm Burns Night celebration is frankly a stroke of genius, right? That's the nation's darling, right? She holds the attention of vast swathe of individuals, every day, and has done for 20 years. Like millions of people know who she is instantly. What cut through? It's just amazing. Now, I'm not being funny. They've got 250 people on the call. So something strange is going on. Either there's a close personal relationship with her, and that's why I've asked her to do it because she's a friend of the firm, in which case, kudos. Or they've paid her loads of money because they know it's going to be a good thing to do, in which case, frankly, kudos, right? So they've done something very clever there, because if you think about, like you say, if you want to achieve a different level of buying immediately, she comes with that brand immediately. And it's not, we're an international law firm who's got 84 offices in blah, blah, blah. It's Lorraine Kelly. I've sat as opposite you on the sofa for 20 years, and I bring the world to your life, as it were. So it's very clever. It's very clever. I'm very jealous of the budget or the connections that allow them to do that.
And also, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that, what I also liked about this mashup, and obviously I haven't been to the event, but also in terms of Denton's brand personality, which is, for example, Stevenson Law, who I admire for everything that they do on social media, but they are definitely like the more fun, the more human boutique law firm. Whereas, here we are talking about Denton's, exactly, we would all love to know their marketing budget and then switch jobs. No, but the point is that they have a very high profile image. And I love how they managed to be human and incorporate that fun and really sort of deep level of connection with their audience without being fun in the sense that we often champion that, oh yes, you should use social media in that way. I think it's just a really prime example of how you can be fun but still sophisticated somehow at the same time.
And I think that's something, especially some of the larger, older, more conservative law firms have really, really struggled with. Ansa here, she asked the question about the difference between the digital marketing side of this with the bricks and mortar and the virtual law practices. And I think you kind of hit something there. Stevenson Law, that newer, much more digital ready from a marketing point of view anyway, law firm, compared to some of the others. It can sometimes be a lot easier for them to get this sort of stuff out there, which is quite interesting. I know my time with a couple of the larger city law firms, the struggle to get stuff done, to introduce some of the basic stuff, especially as some of this was sort of, 08, 09, it was really difficult trying to take the lead with some of that stuff. But
the only thing I'd say about that is that those guys who really pushed on last year, and Stephenson Law is obviously Alice has done a great job on that front. We also, Rich, we talk about Vanessa Chalice, don't we? What's her name? Miss Kaur as well. She's brilliant. There's a few of them. But the firms are catching up, David, and fast, right? So Charlie Jacobs in the cafe a while ago stood with the guy who's known for 30 years. Okay, admittedly he's on his way out. I think noticed he's leaving at that point in time, but he's kind of like elbowing or fist bumping the guy who's like made his coffee for the last 30 years. Ed Whittington's been doing the same as well for Morbale as well. I do think larger firms are getting onto it, and once they do, by the way, their numbers are absolutely huge because of the size of their audience that they've got. So if they know does something well, and they have been doing some stuff well, Clifford Chant's been smashing it, Herbert Smith's been smashing it. Suddenly, what was tens of thousands is turning into hundreds of thousands of impressions on LinkedIn. They are still in the rear view mirror of Slater and Gordon when it comes to YouTube stuff, however, as well. I mean, that's just the nature of somebody who's advertised on national television, I suppose.
In terms of because those are major big law firms, in terms of the smaller ones, the difference between the bricks and mortar and the ones that have gone digital, the ones that have gone digital have embraced change, and they have all the processes in place very quickly, not just from digital marketing, but everything else that goes with it. Case management, their accounting software, everything, settings, everything is all remote. When they roll a change out, it's almost instant and everybody embraces it. Whereas with the bricks and mortar law firms, I know of a law firm in Oxford that's essentially closed their offices and everybody's now remote. Yes, the COVID has driven this decision, but they've then embraced more technology to help them work more effectively. So I wouldn't say it's just the digital marketing that's changed.
No, I completely agree.
It's everything around technical technology and influence. So, but the digital marketing with the smaller law firms, they are in this catch-22. Do I close my offices and have everybody remote, but I don't have the infrastructure to manage, maintain, and run it? Or do I keep where I am, continue with traditional marketing and dabble in digital marketing? It's one of these, you either take the step or you don't. But if you don't, I think you're going to be left behind.
It was really interesting because Catherine Bamford is obviously a real hero for the legal tech community. I don't know if you guys know her at all, but I'd be surprised if you didn't. I don't know Catherine that well, but every time I've spoken to her, she just blows my mind. She's absolutely amazing, right? And she wrote an appraisal of Stephenson Law the other day, but it was like a reveal. It was almost Colleen Rooney-esque, where she basically says, I needed a legal issue sorting. I filled in this form out of hours. 15 minutes later, someone got back to me and said, I'll be back to you tomorrow with an idea. 15 minutes after that, they'd appointed the person and the onboarding was done. And the documentation was done within 24 hours. And she just said, look, enough of you faffing around, everyone. This is how the law should look to a user. I needed this service. Now, Alice has done a great job and has really created something special. I think it's an unfair example for some of the firms to pivot towards, and it wouldn't work for every example, especially the major ones. But there've got to be a lot of firms, Rich, I've said this to you before, who are worried, especially in Bristol, who aren't getting the throughfare of those smaller entities at the moment. They might be wondering why, and I'll give you a hint why. It's because they're all going to Stephenson at the moment, because it's a lot flipping easier to do so. That's the truth of it. Anyway, David, you got to do yours. Have you got something to share?
I've got one quick one to finish off on, and this one interestingly, this came through to us from LinkedIn, so I grabbed this one because I'm a bit lazy like that. So this kind of carries on with the social media theme, at least with the podcasting side. Having set up a number of podcasts in the past, I know how difficult this is, not just from a production point of view, but getting the buy-in and making a success with it. And let me just bring up a quick screenshot here. So this is Apple Podcast Brain Food for General Counsel, and this is Pinsent Mason's podcast. And this I thought was really interesting because it didn't dive deep into particularly legal matters, but it was set up for, I think, lawyers, and it was interesting, covering things like mental health, Brexit, the very topical information. I think their most recent one I thought was absolutely fabulous was to do with numbers. And they were talking about how, we've had a year of hearing all these statistics online, and for a lot of people it can be quite intimidating, quite scary, hearing these numbers, understanding these numbers, and how best to break them down, and how best to ask the questions about this information as well, which I thought was fascinating. But it really is, it's one of those podcasts. It reminds me of, back in the day before I moved down to London and got rid of the car, driving around, and occasionally you'd have a Radio 4, Radio 3 on, and you'd just be, or some of the wider podcasts where you're listening to something and you end up sitting in the car for 20 minutes extra just waiting for it to finish because it's grabbed you. It's so interesting. And another thing that I really enjoyed about this was the way it's been produced. I believe it's their in-house journalist. I think it was Matthew McGee. It's beautifully produced. I mean, having gone through a number of the law firm podcasts quite recently, it's amazing how many are still trying to do it with the laptop microphone in a quiet corner of a busy office, and it sounds absolutely terrible. This is done very well, and the people that are brought on as well, some real experts on topics brought in to either do sound bites or join in the conversation. It's a fascinating podcast to listen to, and having a look at some of the ratings I'm seeing this podcast gets globally, it's jumping into that top 20, that top 10 mark for business podcasts in certain territories around the world, which is fabulous. Definitely one that's worth listening to. So that's kind of my show and tell.
David, was the he's a real lesson for everyone as well. I think that when we put out the call for those materials, I mean, I think the legal industry, everybody knows Fred Banning anyway, because he's just such a flipping hero of the comms world. Anyone who's done in PR would know him instantly anyway. But he spotted that opportunity, and just being Fred, because he wouldn't be able to help himself, he immediately just had to tell you about this thing and ask him to do it. And there's a lesson in there for us as marketeers. I think that there's too much posting and forgetting and neglecting as well, and we produce loads of really good stuff. If you'd done that Whacktail paper, if you'd done Rich's video and you just stored it on your website and you never put it on YouTube, right? If you did any of the work that any of us have highlighted today and didn't put it out there and then keep promoting it after as well, what a waste would that be? And so what I love about what Fred did was he stepped inside and said, you've got to profile this thing. And you were like, I've got to have this one. Like, he's done a job on you immediately, because that's just Fred, right? So, but it's an example about how we as marketeers have got to behave a bit more and realize that we've got to get front foot about it.
Yeah. And I think that's absolutely key. I mean, the consistency behind this. I mean, I had a very quick look online the last few days at how this was showing up, and its visibility is absolutely incredible. This podcast, you start doing searches around this podcast online, and you're just seeing pages of information linking back to it. They're sharing across all the platforms. They're getting some really good reviews coming in for it. I think they've only done about 15 or 20 of them so far, but actually they're really, I've subscribed. They really are that good. I think they run at about 20-25 minutes. And it's just that really nice, concise, informative. And it goes back to what Charlotte said. It's hitting that informative, educational, entertaining. And it's done in a really nice, relaxed way that I think is great. I mean, and, I have to say, I've been through a number of law firm websites, and not just are some of the production quality issues there, but also some of the topics being covered and the way they're being covered. Just that, if you want a good night's sleep, put one of these on and you'll drift away in no time. I'm not going to have any names, but there were some big companies in there, and some of them are not great. So this was really, really nice to see.
Please can,
Pleased to have found it.
please can I make a suggestion for the next time we do a show and tell? And I don't think it should be too long till we do another one, right? I think we should all stick to either a brochure or marketing, like a physical marketing material, because I think a lot of the stuff that goes out is still that. So why don't we just showcase some really good examples of that? I won't use my whack-tail style again, but if we bring something that works, I think it's interesting though, because the volume, that's where we need to get the stuff right, because there's so much of it. And as you said, at the moment, a lot of it's just a cure for insomnia, and that's not very good.
So how are you going to get your hands on anything physical?
Well, it's more that I think we can say it's a PDF of the thing that I hope I know what Charlotte means, but I think it's a good idea to get, a PDF of something that would be delivered normally, or handed over to a GC. But I want to talk through some of those elements, because I think that all of us are known for loving digital and video and those kind of things, but that doesn't mean that each of us don't. I think all four of us are massive fans of getting the whole of the chain of events right as well, and I'd love to look in that area as well.
I think PDFs.
Sorry, go for it, David.
No, I was just going to say the brochure side, I think, is always very interesting, because a few times I've been in house, and not just with law firms, but often sitting near to or being involved with the graphic designer who does this beautiful piece of work. And then a certain senior stakeholder comes along and goes, "Oh, you see that big white space over there? Let's put this over here. Let's put this over here." And it all changes so quickly. And you just see the graphic designer, the face drop. It goes. Having a look at some of the documentation, that sounds very interesting.
I used to make a joke whenever I'd go into, when we were allowed to go into law firms' offices, I would see their lovely brochure cabinet and I'd run my finger across it, because it was always covered in dust, because nobody ever picked up the brochures. And I would say to the senior partner or head of marketing, I go, just out of curiosity, how much did all those cost? And they go, "Oh, it's thousands." I went, "And how many do you actually give out?" They went, "Well, they're there for the people." I went, "I've just run my finger across it. They're covered in dust. Nobody picks them up." They're a great market. It's always one of those, lawyers want that marketing tool. It's that safe space to have these brochures. Tick the box, we've got the brochures. But I know of a law firm, I won't mention, 56 leaflets they created for all their legal services. And every year they had to update it with, new terminology and so forth. I said, if you spent just a fraction of that on digital, you'd get a far better return. But it's one of the traditional things. They've always done it, so they'll continue to do it. But yeah, I've already thought of mine for next time, for the printed version. I've got a great one.
I think let's make this a call to action to anyone watching who's in a law firm to send us merch, please.
Yeah, send us your brochures, because they're just sat in your office anyway.
Send Rich your brochures, and then see me, mugs, umbrellas, I'll have chocolates. Charlotte, if you want anything like that.
Just send us all the swag and we'll review it all.
Rich can have the brochure wear, that's fine.
But no, I think that's going to be interesting. I mean, for anyone watching this, it would be interesting if you want to put forward some content, and we'll happily have
very kind, David. I actually had like several other things come in. I've got a trump card. I'm going to decide when to play it, because I'm definitely winning that week. But on the other brochure stuff, I've just a quick thank you to all the people who did send in stuff. We will get to it. We'd always planned to do more than one session, so that's coming. I didn't ignore it for no reason today. And I think the others, you've also got other examples that were sent to you as well. So let's do it again. When are we going to do it, David? Do you know?
As I say, next week's probably going to be difficult for me, especially towards the end of the week. But possibly the week after. Let's get some stuff lined up then, and see what we can come up with. And I'm already excited to see what Rich is going to do. And you've got your trump card, and I've no idea what I'm going to do.
I was trying to find some of the merchandise I've collected over the years from law firms. I am notorious for taking law firm pens. I take them out of in their reception. I'll take them with me. So I've got a big bag of law firm pens.
It's funny. Most of my swag is from digital agencies and software companies, but I always remember one of the law firms I worked with. We had a 2-tier system. Oh my God. That's frightening.
You are sponsored by SEMrush, David, aren't you?
Pretty much. In fact, actually, funnily enough, I've got StreamYard sending me a mug and a T-shirt soon as well. But anyway, but no, I just remember with the one law firm, we had two-tier system of swag, and it was the swanky pens and umbrellas for certain types, and then the general people just got the bog standard, and it was, yes. Anyway,
do you know what? Let's do an edition on swag. All joking aside. And we'll say, mostly, that is going to be a call out to people. They've either got to send us pictures or tell us what they've done, because people are always looking for interesting ideas in that area. So yeah, it would be good to see a bit of that as well. Yeah, let's do it.
Brilliant.
I've really enjoyed today, David. Thank you for convening us as ever.
No, it's been great fun. It's always good to see more of Rich's artwork around the room there as well. And I see that
artwork for you next time.
Oh, excellent. And apologies for the giggling you can probably hear in the background, but PJ Masks is a particularly funny episode today, and my daughter's there watching it with a teddy bear. So there we go. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. As I say, we're hopefully going to be back in a couple of weeks' time, so keep an eye out for us on LinkedIn, and we're also available on many other social channels too. And until then, we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.